All right, hey guys, Kid here, Burn One Shadowverse Evolve channel as always. I mean, hopefully you guys saw our other set reviews. We were lucky enough to have Ignitius on. He was a really fun guest. Unfortunately, busy man has a busy schedule, which means we only had him for a little bit over an hour, which means we only were able to really do those two set review, or yeah, those two crafts for the set review. But we're joined once again with good friend here, Shepard. You want to say hi?
Hello, everybody. I'm back. Without Igni, unfortunately, the average pitch of this podcast has gone up about 3 or 4 octaves.
All right, and then we're joined here with the goat who went 7-0 in the $500 tournament. Let's go, Fresh
Immediately, I left immediately. But yes, as they say in the service, you must always take the lesser of two digital players. That's why I'm here. You have to choose me over Igni, the lesser of two digital players. So, yes, we're here to talk about some very fun cards.
Oh yeah, quote unquote fun. I was really sad that you weren't able to join us for the Igni stuff because I'm sure there would have been a lot of good banter between you two.
I don't know. Those classes were pretty rough.
Yeah, here's two good cards and then a bunch of piles of dong.
Yeah.
At least Abyss is gonna have a couple of cards that they play. Like Dragon players are literally sleeving up one and tossing the rest.
Yeah.
I guess sleeving up two technically.
All right. I guess we'll hop in here really quick. Here's the rating key. If you're not familiar with how we rate things in this, there you go. Take a quick look at it. All right. Moving on to the first card. I guess we really didn't discuss this, but I guess it'll go me, Pressure, Shepard. This sounds good in order of reading these cards, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Sounds good.
All right. What is this name of this?
Card is pronounced Limaga.
Oh, not Ligma. Not Ligma. All right. Sorry. Ligma Force Champion evolves for 2. Has Storm and Bane. Fanfare. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may put a Hunter follower that originally costs 4 or less play points from among them onto your field. Put the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. The evolve side, Storm and Bane once again. And then on evolve, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may put a Hunter follower that originally costs 4 or less play points among them onto the field. Put the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. Card is a 6-drop 4/4. The Evo side is a 5/5. I mean, this set gets extra Hunter support, but I don't know if this is like this is supposed to be like your payoff, right? Basically, you get to build a board off of this and hopefully hit some of the Hunters that have Storm when they come into play and stuff like that. But I don't think this is a amazing payoff, really. Like, it'll probably see some play, but it's definitely not like breaking any metas or warping the meta around it. What do you guys feel?
I think that this is one of those cards where every one of the quote-unquote payoffs has to evolve. So the only card that you'd like to flip over that doesn't need to evolve is Archer, but then it's just like, okay, 6 mana 4/4, you got a 1/4 and it has Stormbane. I do like the idea of it just being a 6 mana 4/4 Stormbane. I think that's fairly strong. But I think you're not going to be flipping good cards over because all of the good Hunter cards you have to evolve. And that's extra play points you have to spend, and this card already costs 2 turns after you die in this meta, probably. And I don't know, just 4/4 is not good enough stats, but I don't know. People were playing Silent Suzuka. This is easily better than Silent Suzuka. So I think I could see this. If you just play a couple Hunters and it's just I don't know, you flip over. I don't know, flipping over Archer is still pretty good, but I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, this card's okay. I think the biggest problem is mostly the 6 is just too much mana to cost in this meta in a lot of the forest decks. Obviously the best forest deck is going to be fairies and is not going to want this card. But even if you wanted to try a Hunter strategy, I have been doing a little bit of brewing on the Hunter front, and I think even in the Hunter deck, this is the slot where I would rather play a hybrid strategy that runs Elephant to try and close games. Because you have to win, and unfortunately, this doesn't quite get there. And 8 mana for the Evo is just too much.
Yeah, the issue is sort of any board you can conceivably make with this card just gets cleared too easily in most decks, and it sort of plays badly into the meta where it's okay, you are either playing the aggressive deck or you're playing the deck that counters the aggressive deck, and this is sort of well, you're going to get hit by the aggressive deck counters because all your things aren't high health, right? This gets cleared by Conflag, this gets cleared by Israfil Evo, and I don't know. It's just there is like such a high amount of hunters in the game now, like compared to other sort of traits. Like I don't know, just thinking like last set, like the disdain package. It's like there's only 18 cards or 21 cards. You could probably make a whole deck. It won't be good, but you could make a whole deck of hunter cards. So you are gonna have a lot of options and choices. But
Yeah.
that doesn't make it good, honestly.
I do think that's a really good point about where this strategy is positioned in the meta. Where like the way I see it is mid range is not so much a thing that's set outside of maybe unless you call like the disdain decks mid rangey. The way I see it is there's like abyss aggro, there's fairy aggro, and then there's that one sword aggro deck that's whatever, and then there's all the control decks that are trying to beat them. And like this doesn't beat either half.
Yeah.
Like the aggro decks run over you if you put this card in your deck, and the control decks go over you if you put this card in your deck.
Yeah. It's like there's just no reason to play this over elephant. Like you
That's
said.
it. I'm gonna give it. I kind of want to give it like a C because like on his face, it's not the worst thing I've seen.
I definitely want to give this a C. I don't think it's like super amazing, but if you're playing into the hunter stuff, I mean, this is still a card you can kind of consider for the deck. But I think you guys are right on the fact that, I mean, King Elephant is a hunter card also, so like you're just better off playing that strategy because at least you know what you're getting out of that. This is like the high roll of this card doesn't even feel like a really good high roll, right? Unless for some reason you hit like double storm and that's just enough to close out the game. But that seems like
I think I'd rather play Silverbolt on this card.
Yeah, I kind of on that same idea as well.
I feel like because I feel like the issue with this card, I think it's like literally not a playable card because when you build the hunter deck, like last set's hunter stuff was control. This stuff's hunter deck is like control and then other bad cards, and this like is I don't know some like aggressive mid range thing, and you can't even get it. It comes down on the turn you want to be playing. What's his name? The Omen from the Unkilling Omen.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't think this is even a playable card, even in its own archetype. So yeah.
Fair. I mean, I'm not really here to argue that because I kind of like also understand completely. So let's just move on to the next card. Pressure. You gotta talk about the old man.
Fairy Blader. Fanfare. Put a fairy token into your EX area, then give +1/+1 to each pixie follower in your EX area. Activate, engage this card, select up to 2 pixie followers that originally cost 1 or less play points on your field, and give them Storm. I love that they made this card from Digital that was just a complete high roll deck. People might get mad at me for saying this, complete high roll deck, and they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to run it back. We're going to run it back. If you hit the nuts, you just auto win with this card. It's really silly. It's a really absurd design because it's just, well, if you hit a fairy circle and then fairy dragon, then turn 3, or somehow the fairy dragon dies, and turn 3 you go, whoop, Amataz, fairy, wisp, tap, storm. Here we go, baby.
Yeah, one of the crazy things about this card too is like when you first read it, you already can see this is a very powerful card. But then when you actually get to play with this card, and then you remember Forest has a lot of cool bouncing tools, so you can replay this over and over again in the same turn. It gets really obnoxious. There were some turns in testing where I played this Nature's Guidance it back to my hand, played it again after like pulling out more and more fairies, and just like stormed with like 3 or 4 fairies that turned to end the game with all the extra +1/+1s you got off of it. This card is absolutely busted, and it makes the whole fairy deck what it is essentially. If you never open this card, you probably lose the game.
But whenever I play this deck, it's like I don't see hands. Like I don't even see a line like that. I mean, what? Like,
I think what I think is like frustratingly like broken about this card is that it's a super high roll card for like 90% of it, but the fact that it itself generates a fairy just gives it itself like you'll always get at least a 2/2 out of its fanfare, which is like not good if you're doing it. But the fact that it even has a floor that exists, that's not like in the pits is frustrating. So it's a high roll card, but you can also play it. This card's busted. There's nothing else to say. You just win the game. Good luck. Yeah. Have fun with your hunter deck, kid. I'm storming you.
All right, next card here.
All right, Greenbrier Elf. This is a 2-cost follower with 2/3 stat line. Got Fanfare. Destroy a pixie token in the EX area. In your EX area, and you look at the top 4 cards of your deck, you may grab a Forestcraft card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the remaining on the bottom of your deck in any order. So basically, this card trades a pixie token for anything you want off the top 4. There's no restrictions other than the fact that it has to be a Forest Craft card. And to my knowledge, most Forest Craft lists, you're just not going to be playing any neutrals anyway this set.
Yeah, this is one of those cards. When I first read it, I was like, wow, this is a really strong, consistent card. And then you build the fairy deck and you realize this card actually isn't that needed. This is like a very good tech option in there, in my opinion, where if you want add a little bit more consistency, but you end up losing like a Pixie Fall or something like that. Card's all right. And I mean, the 2/3 stat line is not the worst in the world for a 2-drop. So I like this card, but I'm going to tell you now, like, it probably won't even fit in the Pixie deck, depending on how you build it.
My experience is in the early game, the Pixies are like a really desperate resource that you don't want to get rid of.
Yeah.
So it's like a 2-drop that you don't, in my experience at least, I haven't tested that much, but it's like you don't feel, it doesn't feel really good to do it until you're like turn 4 or 5 plus and you're digging for a specific tool. That said, when you're in that situation, it feels really good. I just don't know if I can find the slot for it in every deck. I think it's more of a meta call based on what else you're trying to beat.
I actually really like this card. I haven't like fully read this card before, just now, or really thought about it. I actually really like this card because my opinion, the reason why I would say Fairy Force is like not a good bring is to like a tournament or something like the showdown
Mhm.
is that you are not in control. You have no control over the game. It is just what you draw in the first 3 turns of of the game, basically, And I do like the idea of going, okay, I'm gonna trade the explosiveness of the deck, like some of it, for more consistency. And you're not even like hurting the floor of the deck because it's still a fighter. It's still a fully statted fighter. And it's just, hey, I'm gonna add this card in because I don't want to just lose a game because I didn't draw well. And I actually really like this. I think the fact that you just can get any force card. It's not like force follower or force spell. You just get any force card. Is really strong. I actually really like this card. I think if I were to play Fairy Force, I'd probably play this card. But it's just like, it's just feelings wise, right? Like if you feel like you just want to go, ham and just say, hey, leave it up to God, then you got it. But this is definitely something I would look at if you're feeling like I want to play this deck, but I don't want it to. I want to feel like I'm playing the game. I want to feel like I have choices and options.
I think it's just deck slots. I think it's where you want to make your flex picks, and I think this is just one of the flex picks you can go for.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I said, I kind of almost feel like this is a tech card. I don't necessarily think you would play this as a 3-of, but it is a very strong card text wise for sure.
I'm gonna put it at B because I think it's just a card that's gonna be in a lot of people's decks that I'm not gonna look at and go, oh, that's embarrassing. Like I'm gonna go, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe I should try that in the future, even if I'm not on it myself.
Yeah, I'm pretty in agreement with that, honestly.
Like imagine like a scenario that for the deck slots or whatever is like just swapping this for Blessed Fairy Dancer. I think that's like the perfect example of like what this card would be used. It's like it's still the same situations because you're playing Blessed Fairy Dancer when you like have the pixies in the EX area in the early game. Obviously in the late game it buffs your board and stuff, and you lose the explosiveness, but you gain the consistency of seeing the important
cards
like
you need. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think I could ever do that. I don't think I could cut Blessed Fairy Dancer for this card. I feel like at that point, if you're like, you're just like cutting off a lot of the lines and the power of the deck.
I don't even think Blessed Fairy Dancer is like the.
No, I don't either. But
card in the deck.
No, it's not. But it's so on.
It's on game plan so well, right?
It's so on game plan with the other EX buff areas, especially with Amataz. Like if you ever can get a fairy circle into Blessed Water Dancer, you just get a bunch of goblins that will only get better from there.
Yeah, but when you don't hit that, you just lose. You know what I mean? Like that's the problem with the stat.
I mean, that's the thing is though, on that turn, if you don't hit a fairy on turn 1, Blessed Fairy Dancer is still a fighter on turn 2, the same as this is.
Yeah.
So like that's why it's hard for me because I think they have a similar floor, but the ceiling on Blessed Fairy Dancer is high, and the
That's
ceiling
exactly
on
what I
this.
said, though. Yeah, is that
Okay,
like the
that's
ceiling? You're taking out the explosiveness. You're taking out some of the explosiveness of the deck, but you're adding the consistency to see the more important tools. Because I don't think Blessed Fairy Dancer is the most important tool. I think the Fairy Dragon, the
Fairy
Amitas,
Dragon,
and the
Amitas.
Spinaria
Yeah,
in
those
sort of
But you
mirroring.
are.
also, I don't know, the games you draw, it's less of a player, but like there's such a real difference when you draw EPM versus when you don't, because getting the wisps like makes all your math so infinitely better.
I mean that could be the fourth important card, right? I mean it's not like there's
Yeah,
only
yeah.
three.
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually thinking about this more. I think I might um try this card.
What are you gonna give it?
I think I'm gonna give it a plus. Can we do pluses or no?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. If not, I can just pay. I don't think it matters, but
There's, the thing is, I put a lot of random things in the
I'll just do
box,
A.
and
I'll just
Kits
do
never
A.
told me I can't. So
I'll just do A. I'll just do A.
All right, moving on here. Wildwood Matriarch. It's a 4-drop 3/3. Evolves for 2. Fanfare. If this follower was put onto your field, then with an effect, evolve this follower. And then evolve. On evolve, select up to 2 hunter followers that originally cost 2 or less play. Goodbye. Text. Cost 2 or less play points in the cemetery and put them onto your field. It's a hunter card, obviously. And one thing to note is if you evolve through the fanfare effect, it doesn't take up your once per turn evolve. You probably play this in the hunter deck. I
you get it off the 6-drop, and then it
Yeah.
evolves. So then you're in magical Christmas land.
What are the best 2 hunt? Like it's Archer for sure, and
Archer and
then
Elephant,
I mean the
right?
Goblin.
well, that costs 2.
that costs 2
I
or
mean,
less.
the Goblin is good. The 5-drop is okay, and then obviously I mean
No,
Elephant's
they
not
cost
really.
2 or less. They
Oh,
cost
2 or less. It's got to be Archer and the Goblin. But what's the
I guess
what's the
future-
2-drop 3/2? Do people play that?
Yeah, that's the one coming up. I think that card is bad.
Oh, it's the one that randomly gets Storm or something, right? Isn't it a 2/2?
No, it
Or
gets 1 more health. We'll look.
You ever
at it
get
in a
back
second, but-
this
Yeah.
card? If you ever get back 2 Archers, you win the game.
No, you don't, because it's turn 6.
No,
No,
dude,
you
you
don't.
get double Archer. You played 2 Archers, then you get 2 more. They never beat that.
Yeah, I'm not super impressed with this card. Maybe someone else out there will make this card busted. This is like, yeah, pretty
Not
much an F for me. I'm pretty.
Even like the super high roll of whoa, I played Ligma. I looked at what is it 4? It's only 4 too. Why
Yeah.
doesn't she look 5? 4. I hit the matriarch. Oh my gosh, I play her. I evolve her. Oh my gosh, you still only get 2 more archers and then can flag. It's like the game
Yeah,
is over.
I think this. I don't know. I'm just not very binary and like playable, unplayable. I think this is on the unplayable end, but there's a lot worse cards you can play. So that's why I'm giving it a D.
Fair. All right.
Oh no.
All right, Fairy Dragon, Ward, Fanfare. Give this follower plus X attack. X equals the total number of pixie tokens on your field and in your EX area. Last words, put a Fairy Wisp and Fairy token into your EX area. All right, this is the worst design card in the entire game history so far. Before this, it was Heroic Entry. Heroic Entry, the reason that card was badly designed was because it did nothing unless you hit the high roll. And this is worse because the quote-unquote high roll is you just nothing can beat it in the game. If you hit a 2-mana 3/4 going first, it's over. It doesn't there's not a single card in the entire game that can answer a 2-mana 3/4. Rhymewind doesn't answer it because they just go, oh, turn 3, play it down again, play the fairy, and you did nothing. You literally did nothing. There's no card in the entire game unless you pre-set up Old Man, Old Woman. Shape-shifting Mage does answer it. And then, hey, whoa, you answered it. Awesome job. They get rewarded with the 2 best tokens in the entire fucking game.
Yeah, this is
I don't understand. I don't understand.
This is the go second. This is the go second and die. That's what this card is. This card is brutal. I think it's horrendous design, but in power level, it boosts the fairy deck so much having access to this.
It also can be searched with Lily. Because it's a freaking pixie for some reason.
Yep.
And it's a pixie. And then the worst part is that last words text. Like, it's already just a hyper efficient card, and then it fuels every other synergy in the deck after it.
Like, unironically, if that last word text was deleted, people will still be playing this card as a 3 of in all their Pixie decks. But the fact that it has this last word extra text on here, like when I first played this card, I was like, oh, this card's pretty good. Then I read the last word text and I was like, why would they ever print this on here? You get, like Pressure clearly said, you get 2 of the best tokens, especially in the type of deck it is. Like, I'm also like, this card is insane levels of like bustedness.
Do you think that there was a period in internal testing where they gave it aura like it has in digital? And then they,
Then they switch it to Ward. They're like, yeah, that'll be good.
Ward. I really wonder about that. I really wonder about that.
I don't understand because like it's clearly the issue here. The one big issue for this card is the health line, because if you go first, it's your opponent can't answer it going second at all on their turn 2. It's just impossible. Like
It's not possible.
yeah. It's just like, even if like what Pressure said, where they used their shapeshifting mage, you force them to use an Evo. You also still traded the follower away, so you don't feel bad. And the last word on top of that, like this card is obnoxiously busted. Like
This is a 2-drop that takes 3 mana to answer.
Listen, I feel like someone was like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, go for it.
I feel like someone in testing was like, they had this at 3 health, and they're like, it keeps getting destroyed by Surefire Bullet. And right before printing, someone's like, you know what? Let's put it at 4. We don't have time to test, but screw it.
I also love that for some reason it scales into the mid and late game. Like it just becomes a 2 mana. It'd be like a 2 mana 8/4 9/4, like for no reason. Like it makes no sense.
I've had some games like that where I play this down. I don't even engage it in the late game, but because I just have a full board of like pixies in the EX zone and a couple in there, I'm like, yeah, here's a 7/4 that not only do you have to answer the 7/4, but I still have other things on the board you have to deal with. Like it's obnoxious.
You guys want to know why that 3-cost deal 4 neutral from last set was a big deal? It's because you got to be able to do 4 damage. Surefire Bullet, not good enough anymore.
I mean, that's not why it was a big deal, but yeah, I guess no one's gonna be playing Craving because of Fairy Dragon.
No, they're gonna be playing it because you got to do 4 damage sometimes to non-evolve.
I think the answer is you ignore it. Honestly, I think the answer is you have to ignore it. I don't think
you make peace with taking the damage and moving on.
Because honestly, like actually, to have this real discussion. If you do answer it, if they go second and you do answer it, with the 4th, with killing it, they go Amataz, Fairy was Fairy, tap, Storm, and you lose the game because you've done nothing the entire game.
Yeah.
I think
this is the best deck. Like,
I think that the only sort of thing to keep in mind or negative about it is you do have to skip your turn 1 basically on this deck, and it's obviously made up for the fact that it's a 2 mana 3/4. But there is, it's not like it's just always going to be a 2 mana 3/4. That's the other aspect, is it's very high rolly, where it's like, oh, if you don't open Fairy Circle or worse Fairy Circle, this card's a 2 mana 0/4, which is still fine because you're going to get the tokens. But it's going to feel.
When you say skip your turn, you mean play Fairy Circle or Spirit Shrine?
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't feel like the worst thing. Like, I don't feel like that's skipping turn 1. So many decks don't play things on turn 1.
Well, but you're an aggro deck. You're an aggressive deck.
You're like aggro combo, and if you pass on turn 1, that's horrible. But like Fairy Circle represents 4 million damage, just has to spend 5.
All right, I think we milked this Fairy Dragon the best we can. We can move on here.
All right, this is Woodland Cleaver. They really saved the good cards for me,
You're welcome.
It's a 2-cost 2/2 follower. It's got Evolve for 1, and it has a Fanfare. If this follower was put onto your field with an effect, give it Storm, and then on Evo, select an enemy follower and deal it 2 damage. So you get this back with the 4-drop, it gets Storm. You get this off the top check, it gets Storm. Get this off the 5-drop, it gets Storm. I don't know. I feel like this is a card that if you're trying to do the Hunter thing, you probably are playing it, but the fact that this is the kind of payoffs Hunter gets made me not want to play Hunter. I don't like the floor that much. Like, I don't like the 2/2 side of it. What I do really like is the 2 damage Evo. I think that's really some nice some gravy on top.
I think this is just a Texas card that's an Evo deal too, and that's really good. Actually, I think that's like really, really strong. I think this is one of the strongest non-fairy cards in the format.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's a really, really key thing in this meta and future metas. You know, you see the egg decks playing the Phantom Blade Wheeler, which we'll get to at some point, but it's basically the exact same card where it's almost always textless, you know, 2/2 that evos and deals 2 on evo.
Do you think
Really
that's
strong
critical?
against
This?
aggressive.
Do you think that's a critical effect this set?
Yeah, I think so because like we're talking about the fairy dragon, but that's like kind of an outlier. A lot of other decks are going to be aggressive. They're going to be playing the goblins. They're going to be playing low
Mhm.
health guys early on that you have to clear. There's going to be an easy way to, if you go second, to gain back advantage because you go, hey, they play turn 1, they go goblin, they go turn 2, they play a 3/2 or whatever. You play this, you kill the 3/2, you swing into the 2/2, you have a 3/1, you regained a little bit of that advantage going first. Similar, you know, thing, but you're ahead in advantage because you're playing, you know, more tempo deck or whatever. I think the fact that um, we've seen this already being played a lot in the Egghaven deck because it's the same card. We're gonna get to it, but it's
Yeah.
the same card. I think it's makes sense that you would play this in Haven. And in Force. And I actually saw a lot of people playing this in the Fairy decks instead of sort of the Roach because Roach was sort of the one of the evolutions of this deck in this meta. I think this is the base like uh don't have to have other cards Roach, you know, where you just go, okay, here's removal, you know,
Wow.
because Roach was used a lot for removal in this deck.
I don't know if I'm
Um,
quite there, but I'll definitely try it in the fairy deck. I mean, I guess what's the main aggro you're afraid of? It's sanguine,
the
right? So
mirror,
you're trying to
The
oh
the
mirror.
mirror, right?
Spicy.
I mean,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
because
okay, sure.
it also like if they do ward
Two
the
damage
fairy
is
dragon.
like I don't know. 2 damage is like not it misses a lot of things in the mirror other than
What
the
does it
fairy.
miss in the early
The
game? The only thing it misses is the fairy dragon.
I mean half the deck is 2 drops that have more than three or more health.
Half the deck? No, it's not. It's Blessed Fairy Dancer. That's it. What else?
Oh, Amataz is a 2/2. That's
Yeah,
right. Sorry.
it kills Amataz. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually think this card's pretty good, but
All right, I'll put this as needs more data, but I was gonna give it a B. I'll keep it a B until I see more.
I'm at a B as well. I think the card is really good. I think Pressure is like right on a lot of stuff here. And definitely this is the type of card that like punishes bad players who don't know to like, oh, I went first and played Pixie Dragon or whatever, and I'm gonna ward because I'm afraid of taking damage. And then like you open this and your turn 2 Evo and it's just over for their Pixie Dragon. It's just a really solid card overall, generally.
I just don't think you ever won the Pixie Dragon. I guess I mean you're saying
Well, you don't. I'm saying you punish bad players, but yeah.
well, but I also think like what is the other turn 2 play for the deck outside of Fairy Dragon? Like it's always going to be weak.
It's Blessed
Yeah.
Fairy Dancer, right? But
After you hit the what's it called anyway, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like I think this is a really good really strong card outside of them high rolling. And that's only in the mirror. Every other matchup it's really good.
All right. Moving on here. All right, Spirit Shine. Choose one of the following. One, select a pixie token in your field or in your EX area and give it +2/+2. Second is put 2 fairy tokens into your EX area. When we say this is worse fairy circle, when you open turn 1, this is the card. Other than that, usually in the later game, this is just 2 extra damage on your storm pixies. And yeah, like this card is just pretty perfect for like the entire strategy. You either get pixies early so you can start building up that army base of storm guys, or you're going to push extra damage when your opponent like forgets to add like, oh, I'm going to live with 2 health. No, you're not. There's been a couple games where I've had 2 of these in hand, and then I'm just like, yeah, double buff this storm pixie for game, and they're like, oh, okay, good game, I guess. Yeah, cards very, very good for it.
I'm gonna come in with an A. Like it might seem a little weird, but I think it's primarily just it having the next 3 fairy circles on turn 1 that also push damage late just gives you like so many more explosive draws. You're not as constrained. You get to like do the broken plays more. I think it's such a serious role player, and Obviously, if you're not in fairies, you're not going to play it, but it's a significant pillar of the deck.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of chill with giving it A, honestly, especially in the context of this meta.
I think it's wild that they thought, you know what Force needs go to the fairies is more fairy generators and the option to make it a goblin or give it goblin stats for no reason.
Yeah.
I think this might be a hot take. This is gonna be a hot take. I think this is a worse design, or I think this is a more impactful card for the deck than Avatars. I think this card is so stupid. I think this is an S. I think it's S plus. I think this is the second dumb card.
I feel like Amatas, like the Storm, is so much of the deck, but I mean, I guess it's hard to say because it's a deck that needs all of its pieces.
Because this is like the Peacemaker and the because it's not only the card that makes the pieces you need, it's also the whoa, I'm super bricking. Let me just make a 5/5 fairy and see what happens. You know
what's interesting about this card, like what you're saying, basically, I feel like this is the type of card that like not only does it increase the ceiling, it also raises the floor. That just because it's in your deck, and which is the crazy part of the card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't even blame you for giving it the S plus treatment. All right, on to the next card.
Assault Jaguar. I like the name. 3-mana 4/1 rush. Last words, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You may reveal a hunter card from among them and add it to your hand. Put the rest in your cemetery. I don't understand why they're so scared of like hunters checking more than like you know.
I think this is the best card of the set. I think the hunter deck really needs this kind of removal plus consistency. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Get that ass out of here.
They're just so afraid. They just won't give They just won't give them good cards.
I don't want to do the like imaginary game, you know, but I really like imagine if this card had direct attack. I think if they spent more time testing this game, this set, they would have given this direct attack. Because it directly counters Fairy Dragon. You can see the pieces of like they wanted Hunter Force to be the like alternative, more mid-range to control style of
gameplay,
of gameplay for Force, and they knew Force was going to be strong this set. And if they would have given this direct attack, this would have been really good. It would have also countered the book as well from Haven. But I mean, this is
a sale.
Yeah. In JP, it's called direct attack, but in English, it's a sale.
I forgot they changed it to sale.
Yeah.
They changed it to sale. My bad.
All right, moving on.
Like Pixie Dragon. What is a Pixie Dragon?
All right, this is a Greenwood Guardian. 2 cost, 3/2 follower. It has Ward and Fanfare. Mill 1. Put the top card of your deck into your cemetery. Then if you have 3 or more hunters, it becomes a 3/3. It gets +1 defense, and it itself is a hunter.
3 or more hunters in your cemetery, by the way. It's
hunter, sorry, not 3 more cards. I don't know. This card reads really bad to me, but then when I was looking over the JP meta, there was a bunch of random hunter decks that played it, but like, it just does not look good.
I think it's just like the 2-drop 3/3 that you want to play only because of the fact that it helps you get to the critical point. Because I think a lot of hunter cards look for more hunter cards in the cemetery or pull cards from out of there. So this kind of like helps you get there a little bit.
Yeah, I just think it's so unfair that Abyss gets a 2-mana 3/3 that enables every card in their deck, and
I was gonna say like I'm the biggest Latham fan probably on Earth. It feels like, but it's only Latham's only good because it's on 2. This is never gonna be a Latham on 2. It's gonna be a Latham on 4 and 5, which makes it really bad
too. Like, yeah,
this should have been a 2-mana 2/3 ward, gain +1 attack.
Yeah, I agree.
That would have been much better. That said, like, I think 2-mana 3/2 wards, that's not an F. At Mill 1, I don't think that's enough. I don't think I could ever give that an F.
I'm giving it an F.
I'm going to give it a D. I think that
I'm going to give it an F.
Are playable.
I'm a hunter hater here. As much as I loved Amazonians in Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm goodbye hunters in Shadowverse. All right, I think this is me. So this is a 1-drop, 1/1 crossbow sniper fanfare. Discard a hunter card, select an enemy leader or enemy follower on the field, and deal it 1 damage. Draw a card. I don't even. Can anyone else save me on this card?
I actually saw a lot of this being played. I actually think this is like pretty good because it cycles. It gets the hunters in the grave. This is a card for the
specifically, you
um
have to be playing hunter deck, right? So
yeah. It's
yeah.
for the why am I blanking on
Hot
his name?
hot take. I actually I like this card.
Yeah, like it's for the Izudia version of Hunter.
I think this
which
is one of the
only-
better hunter cards this set. And I mean that's not a high bar, but like I just think getting to do direct leader damage while looping through to find things and filling the graveyard, like I don't know. It's like not amazing, but for sure more playable than the 2-drop we just looked at, like in terms of its efficacy.
Okay, I read the card and I didn't even realize I said enemy leader at any point. So I
one
guess
damage
this.
to leader doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, no one damage to leader doesn't do anything. Doesn't do
It
anything.
doesn't, but I mean, it has. I guess technically the card has more options. So if you go
No,
first,
this
then
card, I mean, this card literally reads discard a hunter card, draw a card. Like that.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, like that's
No,
what
man,
you're
this is-
playing it.
I don't know.
This
This is a
is
game
full-
of this is a game of inches these days.
this is a force quick blader.
I'm
All right, but yeah,
gonna give this. I think it's somewhere in the C, but I don't know. Maybe I'm debating between C minus. I'll go C minus. Just I never want to agree with Prussia, you know.
I'm out here in the D land. I totally understand like the cycle part and like adding a little bit of consistency. You gotta present somewhat of a board early, but I think maybe this is a card I have to play with to really understand like how good it feels at least.
I just think you never play a hunter deck without this card. I think
I
you
mean, that
sometimes
makes-
play a
that
hunter-
makes
I think you
sense. That-
sometimes
Yeah.
I think you sometimes play a hunter deck without Greenwood Guardian, but I don't think you could ever show up in sleeve hunters without this.
Yeah. All right.
All right, Mallet Monkey, 3-mana, 2/1, evolve for 1, Storm, Fanfare, 2 play points, search your deck for a Mallet Monkey and put it into your field, and then evolve it gains 2 stats. This is a cool card. I actually kind of like this. I don't think it's good at all because it doesn't say fairy or hunter. It is fey touched actually, but it's not a fairy or hunter. So I don't know. It's obviously awful and unplayable because we're going into the future of the game is going to be very synergy based, and this is not synergistic in any way. So
Yeah.
This is like
it's
a
unplayable.
top. This is a top contender for some of the best art in the set.
Ooh, I agree with that. I love the art on this card. My issue with these type of cards is that you want to be able to like get the maximum payoff for this card. You need to be a little bit later in the game, right? Because you want to be able to summon a bunch of little monkeys out of your deck and just get extra storm damage or whatever. But like as the game goes on, especially with like how Force generally is played, especially outside of like the Pixie stuff, it has a really good draw engines, which means you're gonna draw like one of these and then another one, and then you're like, great, like now I can't like do the little cute combo of summoning 3 monkeys out, right? It just the magical Christmas land of like being able to triple these out of your deck, it just doesn't feel like that's even an amazing payoff. But the card's cute and I like it, so
They came out with so many cool designs, but like the cool fun stuff is always just a few sets too late for like the power band.
yeah.
Like I don't know if this would have been played in set 2, set 3, set 4, but like at least then you would have had a chance to tinker around with like an effect like this. This is just like never ever hitting the table. It's atrocious.
It's really bizarre to me they made him 1 health instead of 2, like in digital. Because in digital he was just the Forest Novice Trooper that came out, way later. Because Novice Trooper was a 2/2 in digital. But yeah, I don't know why they were like, whoa, we need to hit him even more than him just being like a bad card, non-synergistic. So I don't know.
Yeah. All right, next card here.
This card costs 5, but we'll put an asterisk on that. We'll come back to it. It's a follower. Got 4/4 stats. It's called Elven Sentry, but it costs X to play, where X is the number of fairy tokens on the field, and then it has Rush and Assail. Important to note, this card does not get cheaper for your fairy cards, only your fairy tokens. Also to note, this card is you build the whole fairy board, and then your reward is the 4/4 Rush, 4/4 Assail at a discount instead of the other rewards that you can put in the deck, which say win the game.
I actually
What do
really
you?
like this card. I think this is
What?
actually pretty good.
No.
I think it's actually pretty good because like there's so many in the history of Shadowverse, these types of cards have always been strong. They've always been strong. Is cards where it's like, here I'm playing my game plan and then I just get something for free for no reason. Like I
Yeah,
just
but
get
like
a
the problem is like first of all, this makes the floor on your deck so much worse, right? Because like now when you're missing, and this card's like just an. I guess for a sale is like not rush of sale is not the worst, but I don't know. By the time I do the thing that makes it cheaper, all the other cards say win the game. Rousing Step says win the game, you know, et
yeah,
cetera,
but
et
all of
cetera.
those cards you have to like because I don't know. My thing is like I think this is pretty good in like like against the mirror, because like
What are you killing with it on like
the
turn
fairy
5?
dragon that probably is not dead.
I mean, on turn 5, like half the deck
Uh,
will, you have like a million ways to handle a fairy dragon on turn 5 already.
Really? I think that's the main issue with the fairy deck is that they have like barely any removal that's real removal. Like I guess you go Lily, Rose Garner's fake. That's fake, really fake because they just
Yeah, but
guess
if you're
I get
counting
my
things that swing into it, right? Like
I mean,
Your
yeah,
Evo DPM swings into it, et cetera, right?
I mean, I think you can get this guy down pretty fast. Like I don't think it's gonna be like I think it's reasonable to think that it comes down the turn after they not like they play it on curve, but like if they play another one, it can come down and kill it, you know.
I'm gonna give this a C. I think it's really suboptimal, but I think 4 sale is probably about a C.
I think just for me, it's like with the fairy deck. I think the key is finding cards that inch out the mirror because I think that's the worst part of playing the deck in terms of viability is the fact that in the mirror, if you just play the base lists that everyone was playing in JP, it quite literally the game quite literally ends on the dice roll, and I think that the key to sort of breaking that is finding these types of cards. Now, it might not be this card, but these types of cards that can inch the mirror um, a little bit, and that's sort of what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking with this card. I think it's a B. I don't know.
my biggest
Alright.
issue with this card is that, like, I think it's very cute, and I think Pressure makes some really good points. But at the same time, I think the fact is this card is probably never coming down for 1. You're at most, it's going to be. I feel like the best cheapest you're going to get it down to really is probably like it's going to cost 2. But I think on average this is going to be a 3 drop, which isn't too bad, honestly, but it just doesn't feel like good enough for me. Like I can understand like in the mirror how this could be impactful and stuff like that. And possibly you could have that high roll of I played 4 pixies and now I'm pushing this guy out for 1 to swing in for and to get rid of whatever and so forth, and then play Amataz or whatever you want to do, right? But it just I'm not seeing like how really strong this card can be outside of like maybe those dream scenarios in the mirror match, for example. So
Can I give you an example, like just that I think is actually pretty realistic?
yeah, sell it to me.
So like, okay, you go first. You play Elven Princess Mage on turn 4. Next turn you miss Spinaria. Like you don't, it's not in hand because that's good. What's going to happen because you've seen 8 cards in the deck. You can go as a not as bad, or make the turn not like wow, I don't have anything. You can go wisp fairy token, play this guy elf song, or just go wisp play this guy elf song, and you already have your like your board you like to see of a bunch of tutus, your guy that can clear whatever they just played last turn because it's gonna go over any card that they played on 4 as fairy, and it's something it makes it so you don't need the perfect hand.
Okay. Now tell me why I play this card over Cassiopeia when I have a fully X zone.
Well, you don't have a full
field.
EX.
This is on the field.
You don't have a full EX zone.
If this card said EX zone, it would be an S.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, like in this scenario, we're pushing cards out of our EX zone, right?
You only have 2 wisps and a fairy in this scenario.
And then
or just 2 wisps.
I just feel like Cassiopeia will just come down. Cassiopeia's what, 4/5, and I think I'm just gonna do like anywhere from like 8 to 9 damage to the board to clear up the board.
8 to 9.
All right, guys, we're gonna
in this scenario, you have 2 wisps. Let's not even put the fairy. You have 2 wisps and like 5 cards in hand. Cassiopeia's going to come down and do 6, and she's going to be a 4/5. In the scenario I'm talking about, you're going to have 3 2/2s, a 5/5, and you're going to be swinging over whatever they played last turn. So, and then the next turn, you're going to be able to do your Blessed Fairy Dancer, your typical follow up. The Cassiopeia turn is worse because you just have a 4/5, and then they're going into their turn where they go, oh, here's Wisp Spinaria, Sukuna, whatever, right? Sukuna, thing. And the thing I like about this card is that it makes those turns for them harder to do, because it's like, wow, I can do this, but I'm going to be taking a lot next turn because they have 3 2/2s and a probably damaged 5/5. They're going to be able to kill these Spinaria. I'm going to be taking, I don't know. Again, this isn't a perfect card, but it's cards like this that I'm looking for to inch the mirror. That's
okay. Yeah, you definitely convinced me to at least try this card in some type of build at some point. Honestly, you made me raise it up from a D to a C, because I was going to be like, this card is just like, I don't want to play this card at all. But I think it's worth trying out based on like your scenarios you said and everything. It does make it kind of interesting. I guess I'll try it out and stuff, because in my head, I've always just like, if I'm playing this type of removal and stuff, I'm just going to play Cassiopeia, because I feel like I can just drop Cassiopeia and then I have this huge, I get to nuke their board and then push up my Wisp after or whatever that have been pumped. But I don't know. I'm willing to try it out at least. You convinced me a little bit to at least playtest it more than once and call it a day.
I think
Kat, we need to bring in Chad on this. If you guys think Prussia is right, comment right now. #justice for Prussia. If you think Shepard is right, say #Supreme Shepherd in the comments right now. And then Prussia, if what's the upcoming series called this season? What is it that the buys are for?
Grand Showdown.
Yeah, the Grand Showdown. Prussia, if in the first 2 weeks of Grand Showdowns, this card shows up in a winning deck list.
No, there's only one Grand Showdown.
Oh, I thought there was like 2 or 3. I thought they were across the country.
No, there's one in like per region.
Oh, no way. Are you joking? I thought it was going to be like Bushi's.
Nope. This is old.
Sucks. All right, if this card is in the top 8 of the Grand Showdown, I will take you to a Dodgers game.
Oh my god! Okay, wait a minute.
That's how confident I am in this.
Hold on now.
But the card cannot be in your deck.
That's gonna be playoffs, y'all. Wait a minute. That's gonna be playoffs. Those are gonna be kind of expensive. Are you sure about that?
I'll take you to a Dodger game next year when they're playing the Rockies.
That's wrong. But you know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. All right, that's fine. Now, can it be me?
No, that's the important thing. It cannot
Pressure?
be.
You're scared.
Pressure.
Wow, okay,
don't worry, Pressure. I got you. Day of the tournament, I'm going to lay my deck out in front of you. Go, which one do you want me to take out for Elven Century? I'll make top 8. I got you.
Shepherd gang, we're going to take on the Prussia Menace. Okay, guys? That sounds kind of weird when I say it. It sounds like I'm playing Crusader Kings 2 or something.
Dude, real quick, just 30 seconds. I do want to talk about real quick, like why Cassiopeia isn't being played in these decks. And it's because compared to other Force decks, you're emptying your hand really fast. You are converting a lot of it into EX area, but you have to use those EX areas from 1 to 5. When you get to 5, you're probably going to have 3 or 4 cards in hand, maybe a couple cards in the EX area. In the mirror match that does nothing, that maybe clears a couple guys. And in other matchups, it's not going to do much. That's why you see cards like Archer, like Roach for the removal instead of Cassiopeia, because Cassiopeia just costs too much.
I agree with that, but I want to add one more thing, which is, you said at the end there, it costs too much. I think this deck is so synergy. You have to play a bunch of pieces together, not even to hit combo numbers, just because everything needs to work together for the text to have any meaning. That you can't clog your hand up with higher cost cards, which is part of why I don't like this card, is that like I just want less clunk, and this card is going to sometimes be a little too clunky.
It just
sequence.
just to even say that too is just the I've been playing the deck I've been playing the most has been the Pixie lists, and that deck crap, where was it going with this? Oh yeah, sorry. The deck basically has already decided for you like 33 to 36 cards in the deck are like almost required essentially. And so like you have barely any wiggle room on numbers unless you're like making weird cuts like I'm going down to only like instead of having a 3 of a card you go down to 2 so you can fit like one extra thing in or something, unless you want to be ridiculous and go to 41 cards in this deck, which I think would be a mistake because this deck requires so heavily on opening like the perfect hands over and over again that adding even like 1% of inconsistency is just too impactful for you on like a long tournament essentially.
I don't know. I think you should play like 43. I think 43 is like optimal.
No, I could never. I'll never play a 41st
Right.
card in my life.
What happened to the pressure I knew that was like
I'm
you
like,
played 41 cards, kid?
joking.
You
I'm
should not.
joking.
If you guys ever see me register a deck list with over 40 cards, call the police. It's the body snatchers. Like the others have come. Let's move on. Like,
yeah. We're about to finish this up. We got this last one. I don't remember
got a
who
really
it is.
good card here. It's you now.
Okay. Synchronized Slash, 1-drop spell, the Hunter card. Engage 2 Hunter followers on your field. Select an enemy follower on the field and deal it 4 damage. All right, so this is how we handle the Pixie menace. 2 1-drops on turn 2 plus this. Or sorry, on turn 1 we play 1-drop. Turn 2 we play another 1-drop plus this. Oh, easy. Those Pixie Dragons are just done.
Okay, Prussia, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What's your knowledge of future JP sets? Do they ever come back to the unkilling mechanic for Hunter, or are they just like, that's atrocious, we don't need to do that again?
Well, I mean, they do because like all of the Omen decks get like I think it's 1 or 2 card support in like what, set 8 or set 9?
I think it was set 8, yeah.
Yeah, so they do.
It's just funny that they drop it in this set and then they give you a spell like this, which it's so bad.
This card is awful.
I think I would rather play Mark of Unkilling than this card, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right, that wraps it up, guys. Here are our Twitter accounts, whatever you want to call them. Follow all of us. Tell us that we're all bad at the card game and so forth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. The next one coming out should be Sword after this one, or whatever order I end up uploading this in, because we kind of did it in a different order this time. But besides that, I guess goodbye, everyone.
Remember, Shepherd Gang. #Shepherd Supreme in the comments.